What's up everyone, what's good, what's poppin'? Welcome back to my channel. For today I'd like to show you how you can make your photos look good using Lightroom fast and easy. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so now that we're in Lightroom, this is my photo. I took a picture of my sister a couple weeks back and I assess the photo first. That's what I'll do. I would look at the stuff that I have to work on. So let's say the exposure is very low, the clouds are a little bit too bright, there's shadows in her face, etc, however you pronounce that. So yeah, I'm gonna work on the exposure, so let me just boost that up a little bit just so that I can see the details. About there is good for me, about there. And next is I'm gonna bring down the contrast, and I'm gonna tell you why I do that in a little bit. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring down the highlights just a tad, just so that I can see a little bit more of that sky instead of, plain white, just to balance everything out, because it's kind of attracting the eyes more than the subject. So bringing that down would help a lot. But let me just make this even number. Oops. Sorry guys, OCD. Okay, next is the shadow. You see her face, it's pretty much full of shadows. So let's boost that up a little bit. And about there is good for me. Let's see, yep, perfect. And then whites and blacks. I like my whites whites and I like my blacks blacks. I like separating the two to create that contrast, and this is pretty much where we're gonna start shaping the feeling that we're trying to portray in this image, and this is when you can start manipulating the contrast instead of using the slider, because what that does is it just sets it automatically to however it wants, not what you want. And what I like to do is, obviously I like to manipulate the photo as much as I can, or as much as I want to. So I usually use a tone curve for that. But back to the blacks, let's bring that down a little bit. About there is good, or let's bring that down even more to 20, minus 20 there. That looks about right for me. Next is your vibrance and your saturation. Now different people do this differently. I used to do it, bring up your saturation and bring down your vibrance, but lately I've been liking the idea of boosting up your vibrance and countering that by bringing down your saturation to make the image look flat. I make my image look flat because I shape everything up from the tone curve downwards. So the tone curve, the HSL color, the split toning, and all of that shenanigans. So now that we have it look desaturated, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I did, but I like my photos a little bit desaturated. That's the style that I picked up. That's the style that I found, or that I discovered. So now we're gonna make some points here. Doesn't matter if you're right in the intersection, but we're gonna bring up this point so that we're gonna have that fade look. We're gonna call it the fade look. That's what makes it cinematic. And then you see this second point, we're gonna bring that down just a little bit, just so that we can have our contrast back. So that's the without it. And now if we bring this down, that's what it makes. That's how it looks like. And then we're gonna bring the highlights down just a little bit. In photography class back in high school or in college, we were taught that, make an S. And it's pretty much your own personal taste when it comes to editing photos. But I like doing the S because it balances everything out. But obviously you can break the rules and make your highlights go all the way to the left, and if you find that good looking I have nothing to say to you. I have no words for you. But yeah, I usually leave it at this because I like the balance in the photo. About there should be good. Yes, we got our contrast. So now it's time to take back our colors. So if you look down here, we have the color and we have the HSL. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. I was cheating, I was just looking at this. What this does is that it separates all the colors so that you can manipulate it to however you want it to be specifically. So let's say we want to change her skin tone, we can use orange because she's in that color range. So if we slide it all the way to the left, she looks gray. She looks like The Grudge. To switch it to the left, to the right, sorry, she looks orange. So we're gonna reset that, and we're gonna bring up just a little bit of it just so that we can see more of her natural skin tone. And I think that's about right. Actually, let's make it 30. Yes, perfect. So now we're gonna bring down the green, just because I like my photos desaturated, like I said earlier. And about there, I guess. Let's see, yeah. So at this point, it looks flat, but we have a contrast. But we can fix that in a little bit, just for her lips to pop out a little bit more. Bring up the reds. Next is luminance. Luminance basically lets you control how bright each color is. So let's say the skin tone again, very dark, we can bring that up by sliding it to the left, to the right. Why am I getting my left, oh my gosh, why am I getting my right and left wrong? I don't know why. I'm good with directions, but today I guess I'm out of it. So back to the editing. About there should be good. And next up is the green. It's still so right now we're trying to create cinematic look. We're trying to separate the background to the subject. So we're gonna bring down the luminance of the green just so that it looks darker and her shirt is popping out. Her shirt is popping. She is popping. Next is the green, because right now it still looks flat because there's no separation in between yet. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna darken our greens just so that our eyes will lead to the subject more. Just like that. And that looks great. You know what? I think I'm gonna make her skin tone a little bit more saturated, just cause, and that's fixed. Luminance is fixed, saturation is fixed. Next is the color. The color, what this does is it's pretty much the same as the HSL. You have each of these individual colors, but you can manipulate these colors even further. So let's say green, because we have a lot of green here. You can actually change the hue of your greens. So if we slide it all the way to the left, we get the brownish color. Is that brown? And if you slide it all the way to the right, you get this color. But let's put that to 0 and reset it. And I usually like my greens a little bit colder. So maybe 25 would do if I'm right. Okay, yes, I am correct. And we can bring down the saturation just a little bit more. And that is fine for me. Yes. Next up is our lens corrections. It is important to use lens correction because sometimes our lens would have chromatic aberration, and what that is when you overexpose, you're gonna have a little bit of different colors in there. So some lenses would have purple fringes, some would have yellow fringes or green, depends on your lens. But I usually just check these two and enable profile corrections. This is pretty cool. What this does is it pretty much gives you the feeling of, gives you the look that other lenses would give you. For example, I wanted to make it look like I took it on a 50mm, so that's how it looks. Let's say I wanted to look like I took it on an 85mm, that's how it's gonna look. So it would fix that distortion or that warping. So I think I like that 85mm look. And next, pretty much the last thing that I do is I fix the vignetting. I personally like a little bit of vignetting, so I do it a little bit just like that, and that's about right for me. So if you look from our previous photo, so it went from this to this. How cool was that? And how long did we take to do that? And I'm not a professional yet myself. I'm still practicing. This is part of my practice, my learning experience, and I hope that some of you learn from this as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it for me today, guys. If you found this video helpful, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It will help a lot. Oh, and you can even turn on the notifications so you will be the first one to watch my videos. So yeah, I will see you on the next one.